Hi, this is Joe Ziemba, the host of When Football Was Football here on the Sports History Network. Aside from my podcasting duties, I'm also a sports collector. And as such, I'm very pleased to share the exciting news that the Sports History Network has partnered with Rochester Sports Autographs, the largest JSA authenticated autograph distributor in the United States, where you can get deals on over 30,000 autograph sports collectibles. So as a collector, I was very pleased when I visited the site of Rochester Sports Autographs. The massive inventory is easy to search, carefully documented, and visually appealing. The options seem limitless, whether you're looking for an autographed baseball, signed football helmets, or basketball jerseys, among thousands of others. I found everything from a Babe Ruth autograph, a signed football by Dick Butkus, and an autographed Larry Bird basketball jersey. And as a collector, you'll be delighted with the very competitive pricing on JSA authenticated products. Made possible since RSA deals directly with athletes, so there's no extra markup, and the savings are passed on directly to the customer. Perhaps you're looking for an early gift for Mother's Day or Father's Day. Heck, who needs a holiday as an excuse to give a piece of sports history to your loved ones? Or how about yourself? Today seems like a great day to add to your own sports collection, right? RSA even has film, music, and other entertainment autographs on the site, so there's something for everyone. All orders from Rochester Sports Autographs are top quality and shipped to your door with top authentication and a money-back guarantee. And to make sure RSA knows that the Sports History Network sent you, we created a special link for you. All you need to do is head to shoprsa.com/SHN. That's shoprsa.com/SHN to get your own piece of sports history today.
Now it's time to take a sports break, a look at sports history on a daily basis. Hello, my friends of sports history. This is Darren Hayes of the Sports History Dispatch podcast. Welcome once again to the Pigpen, your place for all things great in sports history. And welcome to a May 8th edition of the podcast, where we're going to talk about some great events that happened on this day. But first, let's hear a tale of a story about baseball. It's a story about a man named William who grew up in the Northeast on a large farm that he and his family had owned for generations. The hard agricultural life provided him with strength and agility growing up. And this and natural athleticism made William a triple threat halfback star on the football team and a captain and leading scorer of the high school basketball team in his junior and senior years. Even with these accomplishments, his time spent on a baseball diamond was his favorite passion. His head was filled with thoughts of one day playing the game professionally in the major leagues. As good of an athlete as he was not remembered as a particularly outstanding baseball player. An average fielder, but not a power hitter, but steady and consistent. William did just enough of the little things, almost on demand, and when his team really needed a critical hit, a run to stay in the game, or anything else, fielding a big play. Now, it became almost expected that William would come through when all the teams he played on needed him. After a lot of hard work, he finally did get paid to play baseball. He first made it with the Atlanta Crackers of a minor league system of the Southern League, and just as he climbed and became renowned, World War II broke out, and William joined the Navy. That terrible, terrible war on so many fronts. So many young lives were lost and were maimed in the horrors of battle. Also, the influx of baseball players exploded after so many soldiers and sailors were trained and gained experience at playing ball while in the service on base. The dream of making the big leagues may have died for this ordinary player named William. But alas, he was able to return to the Crackers in the post-war times and had some more success. His timeliness of clutch hits and plays made William and some of those he played with believe he might have the it factor. It was there, at this point, where an American League team in Beantown paid the highest price ever for the contract of a Southern minor leaguer when they negotiated a tag of $75,000 that they paid to the Cracker for the rights of William to become a member of the Boston Red Sox. His dream of getting paid to play ball in a good fashion came to fruition through his hard work and consistent play. His eventual Major League Baseball manager was Hall of Famer Eddie Collins, the Red Sox skipper. Collins was a perfectionist who looked down upon and even criticized most of his players. But if he liked you and you worked hard and you played well, he really liked you. Manager Collins looked at William and was reminded of his former teammate Jimmy Dykes, who Collins referred to as, quote, the best thing until this kid came along, referring to William. And he was right about Williams. Manager Collins could see that William had the right stuff to be a pretty special ball player. Right now, at this point in the story, we're rounding third. We're heading for home. So we flash forward a little bit, and we take to a game played on May 8th, 1953. The Yankees of New York invade Fenway, and the Beantown crowd is uneasy. The Boston Red Sox and their fans were stewing over 13 straight losses to their bitter rivals from New York, and that stretched back to August in the 1952 season. New York moved the scoreboard first in the top of the second on a bit of a fluke play. Red Sox pitcher Hal Brown served his only walk of the day to the pinstripe legend Mickey Mantle to hand the Yankees their only run. It happened when there was a strange bounce off the bat of Gil McDougald that made the run possible. Now, following that base on balls to Mantle, Hank Bauer popped out. McDougald then slapped a roller down towards George Kell at third base, but the ball took an unexpected hop, popped up, and it hit Kell right in the face. Now, before he could recover, Mantle was on second, and McDougald was already safe at first. Billy Martin was the next batter up, and he lined a single down the right field line to bring in Mickey Mantle. The crowd became uneasy. They felt a little more comfortable, though, when in the bottom half of the second stanza, Dick Gernert hammered a solo shot over the Green Monster to tie the score at 1. Well, the game carried on that way all the way into extra innings, and in the bottom of the 11th, it was time for our man William, better known as second baseman, you guessed it, Billy Goodman, to once again be Johnny on the spot. Or maybe Billy on the spot is more appropriate. Goodman's walk-off home run off the Yankees starting pitcher Johnny Sane broke the tie, and the New York vexing streak over the Red Sox was ended, and that bitter pill that was swallowed by the fans was erased in that 2-1 extra inning win where the Red Sox won at home. Left-handed second baseman Billy Goodman played with the Boston Red Sox for 10 seasons from 1947 through 1957. Then he ended up playing a year with the Baltimore Orioles in 57, and then went to the Chicago White Sox for about 4 or 5 years, and finally ended his final season with the Colt 45s of Houston in 1962. He ended up being a 2-time All-Star, won a batting title in 1 year, had over 1,690 hits, 19 home runs for his career, and his career batting average was at a solid 300. That's the story of our May 8th, and that's the story of our hero, Billy Goodman, for this May 8th. Now, before we touch on some more great history of sport and baseball and football and basketball and hockey for this May 8th, let's make sure that you're aware of how to get our daily newsletter to find stories like this and more great sports history for the day. Very easy. You can go to the show notes of this very podcast or the top of jerseydispatch.com or pigskindispatch.com. Totally free. Cancel at any time and get an email each and every morning about 6:30 a.m. Eastern with all the news of the day of sports history. Now let's go into that great day of May 8th in history. We have some Hall of Fame birthdays. How about May 8th in 1858, Sylvan Lake, New York, Baseball Hall of Fame first baseman Dan Bruthers, also known as Big Dan, who was a pretty big dude by 19th century standards. But he ended up being inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame many years ago, and he was remembered for many things, and we've got a great bio for him on this May 8th, and you can find that on jerseydispatch.com. Also, another Hall of Famer from the hockey world, Herb Gardiner. May 8th, 1891, he was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Hall of Hockey Hall of Fame defenseman. He played for the Calgary Tigers of the Western Canadian League and also the Montreal Canadiens and the Chicago Blackhawks of the NHL. Turkey Stearns of Major League Baseball was born May 8th, 1901 in Nashville, Tennessee. Baseball Hall of Fame center fielder. He's considered by some as one of the greatest all-around players in the history of baseball. Now, Stearns got his nickname thanks to his unusual running style from an early age, and he ended up playing in the Negro Leagues early in his career. In 1920, he started with the Nashville Giants, and then for the Detroit Stars beginning in 1923. And in 1931, the Stars failed to pay Stearns his salary because of the Great Depression. So he moved from team to team for the remainder of his career, retiring in 1942 as a member of the Kansas City Monarchs. He batted over 403 times and led the Negro Leagues in home runs 7 different times in his career. He's credited with 186 home runs and all-time Negro League record of 186 for his career, and 7 more than the second-place Mule Suttles. Quite a ball player he was. Also, Ed Roush was born May 8th, 1893 in Oakland City, Indiana. Was a Baseball Hall of Fame center fielder himself. Now, Ed played in Major League Baseball from 1913 to 1931, most prominently as a member of the Cincinnati Reds, where he was a 2-time National League batting champion and led his team to the 1919 World Series championship. Also played for the New York Giants, Chicago White Sox, and the Newark Peppers and the Indianapolis Hoosiers of the Federal League. John Mariucci, great Hockey Hall of Fame defenseman, was born May 8th, 1916. Mariucci started off his career as a winner, leading a squad for undefeated AAU National Championship squad in 1940. And he played at the University of Minnesota for his college days, and he turned pro and was mainly with the Chicago Blackhawks, though he went into coaching and coached not only Blackhawks but the Minnesota North Stars as well. Went into the Hockey Hall of Fame as a builder in 1985. Now, on Jersey Dispatch, we have some great items that we'd love to share. May 8th, in 1878, Paul Hines made his very first recorded triple play in professional baseball as the member of the Providence Rhode Islanders. In the 8th inning against the Boston Red Caps that day, Jack Burdock of Boston hit a fly ball towards center field that the shortstop Tom Carey was unable to reach. Center fielder Hines caught the fly ball on a full gallop towards the left field line, stepped on third base, getting out Jack Manning, who had been on third. It gets a little bit unclear from this point on, though, as widely accepted story that Hines then threw to second to put out Ezra Sutton for the third out. However, Mr. Hines, as well as the retelling in the Providence Journal the following day, stated that both base runners had been heading home, indicating that Sutton had rounded the bag as well. And Paul Hines, this historic figure as he won the Triple Crown in first time in Major League history. 1929 in this date, Carl Hubble, the New York Giants ace that wore number 10, tossed a no-hit shutout against the visiting Pittsburgh Pirates for an 11-0 victory at the Polo Grounds in New York City. And May 8th, 1935, Cincinnati Red star Ernie Lombardi, number 17, unbelievably doubled in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings to help outscore the Philadelphia Phillies by the score of 15-4. For some more great, tremendous baseball events, we have a couple great sites to check out. Thisdayinbaseball.com. We have a link on Jersey Dispatch for this May 8th. And May 8th in 1980s baseball, 1980sbaseball.com offers a lot of great subject matter from our friend Jay Daniel on 80sbaseball.com. Great link. You can go to there too. Now let's go to the hockey realm. And one of our favorite stops is the VintageHockeyJerseys.com website. May 8th, 1975, they tell us that the Buffalo Sabres defeated the Montreal Canadiens by the score of 4-3 in Game 6 of their Eastern Conference playoff semifinals at the fabled Montreal Forum. With this victory, the Sabres eliminated the Canadiens and advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time ever in franchise history. The HockeyWriters.com website. They inform us that on May 8, 1970, the Boston Bruins defenseman number 4, Bobby Orr, won the Hart Trophy for being voted as the league's most valuable player that season. And the NHL.com website. Well, they tell us in 1982 on the 8th of May that the New York Islanders number 22, Mike Bossy, scored at the 1958 mark of overtime to give the New York Islanders a 6-5 victory over the Vancouver Canucks at the Nassau Coliseum in Game 1 of the final of the Lord Stanley's Cup tournament. Bossy ties the game 5-5 at 15-14 in the third period with his second goal of the game, and then completes a hat-trick when he intercepts a pass by Canucks defenseman Harold Snepps and puts a quick shot past goalie Richard Brodeur. Now, some tremendous there. Make sure you check out those websites. We go to the basketball hardcourts, and NBA.com gives us this nugget for the day. On May 8th, 1999, in a Jazz stunning 117-87 victory over the Kings in an NBA playoff game, Utah's number 32, Karl Malone, the mailman, who totaled 3,712 career points, passed Magic Johnson, who had 3,701 for the sixth position all-time in playoff scoring at that period in time. Now we jump over to PigskinDispatch.com for some great football history. We find that in 1894, the Rules Convention at the New York City Athletic Club for College Football instituted a rudimentary rule for fair catch interference on a kick play. A portion of this rule required that a person fielding and signaling for the fair catch to mark the spot of the fair catch by marking it with the back of his heel and denting the turf after waving one hand over the head and catching the untouched kick or punt. That's pretty difficult to do, even to catch it and wave your arm, let alone digging your heel into the ground, so good thing they got rid of that rule. On May 8th, 1910, Walter Eckersley writes the greatest football player of all time article. That article starts off by giving creed and credential to Walter Eckersall, and he was selected 3 consecutive years by Walter Camp to be the equivalent of the first team All-American, even made Camp's all-time All-American team. So, U.S. patent was granted for blending a graphic to create a yellow line on television for the line to gain. The yellow first down line that we see on our televisions. That happened in 2001 on May 8th, and this is the day that patent was filed. And the last piece of Yankee Stadium falls into Bronx, New York in 2010, marking the end of a 2-year demolition process, almost 88 years to the day from the start of its construction on May 5th, 1922. We had a draft where in 2014, South Carolina's outside linebacker Jadeveon Clowney was the first picked by the Houston Texans in the 2014 NFL draft. Pretty amazing draft. We had Glenn Robinson, a tackle from Auburn, went to the St. Louis Rams. Jacksonville selected Blake Bortles, a quarterback from Central Florida. Buffalo selected wide receiver Sammy Watkins from Clemson. And Khalil Mack, a linebacker from the University of Buffalo, was selected by the Oakland Raiders to round out your top 5. Some Hall of Fame birthdays. 1930 on May 8th, Doug Atkins was born in Humboldt, Tennessee. He was a Tennessee tackle, Tennessee Volunteers, 1950-1952. And he was selected to go into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1985 and became a member of the Cleveland Browns in the 1953 NFL Draft, playing defensive end for them. And then went to the Chicago Bears soon after that, and was a monster of the Midway, and ended up getting inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1982. May 8th, 1957, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Bill Cowher, North Carolina State defender who played a bit in the pros, was born. Played for the Cleveland Browns, but he's probably most well known for being the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers from 1992 all the way to 2005. He ended up going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in the 2020 selection class. And May 8th, in 1959, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Ronnie Lott, Southern Cal's coveted defensive back for the seasons of 1977-1980, was born. And he ended up going into the playing for the 1978 USC National Championship team under Coach John Robinson. Ended up going into College Football Hall of Fame 2002. In the Pro Football Hall of Fame came a calling and put him in 2000 into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So these are just some great items that happened on May 8th. We are sure happy you were able to join us for this sports history. As we said earlier, we'd love to hear your comments and feedback. PigskinDispatch@gmail.com. Until next time, everybody, have a great sports history day. This penalty kill is almost over. I got to get back out on the ice. But thanks again for joining us for another great edition of Sports Jersey Dispatch Podcast. We'll see you tomorrow. We invite you to check out our websites, jerseydispatch.com and pigskindispatch.com. Not only see the daily sports history, but to experience the preservation of great events and people that play the games. Find us on Pigskin Dispatch. It's also on social media outlets of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel. Get all your daily sports history. Pigskin Dispatch is happy to be associated with the Sports History Network, the sports headquarters of yesteryear, found at sportshistorynetwork.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hi, this is Joe Ziemba, the host of When Football Was Football, here on the Sports History Network. I'm very pleased to announce that I will be partnering with the Sports History Network to give away 2 copies of my latest book called Bears vs. Cardinals, the NFL's Oldest Rivalry. To enter, just head over to the following link, sportshistorynetwork.com/giveaways. We hope you will enjoy the numerous stories in the book, which is largely based on the newly released Dutch Tournament collection at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Dutch was the co-owner of the early Chicago Bears with George Halas and kept correspondence, financial records, and scouting reports, which now allow us to peek into the management of an NFL club during the first few years of the league's existence. Along the way, we'll meet unusual gridiron characters from years gone by, including a quarterback who could throw the ball farther behind his back than he could throwing it forward, a Bears lineman who was such a good tavern fighter that he decided to enter the boxing universe, and a Cardinals halfback who gave up the NFL rushing title by deciding to not show up for his team's final game of the season. And can we forget the time the Al Capone mob interrupted a Bears-Cardinals game? The new book was fun to research, and I hope you will enter our free contest today. Once the winners are selected, we'll be in touch regarding shipping as well as to inscribe the book personally for you. This might make a perfect gift for Mother's or Father's Day, or simply add it to your own personal collection. Once again, enter by visiting sportshistorynetwork.com/giveaways. Thank you and good luck.